Sometimes you stumble upon something old, maybe a bit dusty, and it turns out to hold some really powerful ideas. What if a 40-year-old newsletter could actually give us a blueprint for building a community today? Well, we found one, and I think what's inside is going to surprise you. Let's dive in.
Okay, so what you're looking at here is a newsletter from the Tamil Representative Council's Youth Wing. It was published in Singapore way back in March of 1983. But let me tell you, this is so much more than just old paper and ink. This is like a time capsule, a snapshot of a youth movement that was absolutely buzzing with energy and, more importantly, a real sense of purpose.
It kind of makes you ask that big question, right? What does it actually take to build a community? And this group of young people all those years ago, they had some seriously smart answers. They weren't just throwing parties and planning events. No, they were architects. They were designing a community from the ground up.
When you really break it down, their entire strategy was built on two powerful pillars. First, empowerment through knowledge, and second, developing society and culture. So this wasn't just a random collection of activities. It was a really deliberate two-pronged attack plan for creating real, meaningful change. So let's break down that first pillar.
All right, so pillar number one, empowerment through education. This group, they were crystal clear on one thing. A strong community has to be built on a foundation of knowledge. And they didn't ease into it either. They kicked things off with a bang. Their inaugural seminar, this wasn't some tiny get-together. It pulled in over 100 members. That tells you right from day one, they meant business. They were showing up to learn, to connect, and to build something that was going to last.
And just look at the topics they tackled. This wasn't surface-level stuff. They went straight for the heart of identity in society. Language, literature, the education system, social organization. This was a full-blown curriculum for community building.
And their projects were so ambitious. They put together a whole tuition program for A-level students. We're talking physics, math, economics, and get this, the teachers weren't just volunteers. They were all lecturers from the National University of Singapore. That is a serious, serious commitment to quality.
This quote from their advisor, Dr. A. Viramani, it just hits you, right? It gets right to the core of why they were doing all this. For them, education wasn't just about getting a good job. It was a duty. It was about making sure that every individual had the tools they needed to lift up the entire community, not drag it down.
But that was only half the equation. Empowering the mind is crucial. But you can't build a community on textbooks alone. You've got to nurture its heart. And that brings us right to their second pillar, forging community and culture. The Youth Wing totally got it. A community isn't built in a lecture hall. It's forged in shared experiences, in celebrating together, in creating that powerful sense of we belong here. They knew they had to create real human connection. And wow, did they deliver. Just look at this timeline. In less than 2 months, bam, 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 a drama competition, a quiz, an arts competition. The energy is just jumping off the page. You can feel the momentum they were building. Now let's just zoom in on this one for a second because it's so unique. The bride and bridegroom dressing competition. This isn't just a fun little party, right? It's such a creative, hands-on way to engage with cultural traditions. So was it all just for fun? Nope. The newsletter is really clear about the why. The whole point was to give students a chance to show what they knew about their own culture. So every single event, no matter how fun, had a deeper purpose baked right in. And here's what I think is really impressive. They weren't just busy for the sake of being busy. They were always learning, always adapting. Take their quiz competition. After it was over, they went out and actively asked for feedback. They wanted to know how to make the next one even better. And that feedback was so smart. The participants said, hey, could the questions be more about our lives here in the Singapore context? And that right there, that shows a group that actually listens, a group committed to serving what its members really need. So, you put it all together, right? You've got the serious academic stuff, the vibrant cultural events, and this constant cycle of self-improvement. What you're seeing is a group that wasn't just planning for next month, they were building something to last.
And this line from the newsletter, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? They were looking for doers. They were looking for leaders. Their mission wasn't about the now, it was about building a solid foundation for the future, for the next generation.
And this wasn't just talk. They had a real, concrete, ambitious number in mind. They wanted to grow their membership, their team of leaders and doers, to 500 people by the end of the next year. They weren't just hoping for growth. They had a plan to make it happen. So what is this blueprint we've just unpacked from 1983? Well, it's this powerful two-part strategy: empower the mind, but also nurture the heart. It's about setting huge goals, but then backing them up with really high-quality work. It's about focusing on connection and belonging. And maybe most importantly, it's about always looking in the mirror and asking, how can we do better for our community?
Which kind of brings us full circle. This 40-year-old newsletter, it doesn't feel like a history lesson at all, does it? It feels like a roadmap, a practical guide for any of us trying to build something meaningful. And it leaves us with a really big question. In our world today, which can feel so disconnected sometimes, what can we learn from this incredible blueprint for community action?